Atiri mwaka kusikafosa. Luna lusinyezi bona bapira. Luna sobizi mwa kutata boweza kula mzibi moluka za kuli kufuma ni kupi. Akibakulu tusa akibakusutelera kuluna kuli babone zeba sinyiza kuli ndikako amubone miyawo mwesi mwaka zekavu. Kyo likakuta cho. Hai baba sasa.
Mbona yani esipotoloto wapalira kutaipa mangolo oluluma mwanaha esikwasiringa kabolopeni toe kitu eswabisa kiona manga etulene buluka mali gold diamond noluli buluka mo kakukanya kozo nokusida silver nelifera gold yenesebeza mabulozi Affaires va qui va tout dire. Le nya à mon sort. Makaunda.
Manyando abubotana muzyo onibulera kuona lya lui oramulene omutuna obulozi no tivani manene haba fakama yani ya sipi ye kamulisha milili no kubizwa kuikwani ko kushire kikona kwa nalolo mulene wasinanga kwani ko kutivani kiona lya lui kashe kwa mubone eshe mandu kaofera kuzwa 1965 abolile awile kakuli akuna nabasesikana sabafumana kuiba yaise manduna balobala mwalikota pula yabanela ikalapala mali apala.
Outside the royal palace in Lealui, the empty safes lie on the ground and remind Ngambila, the Bulotsi Prime Minister of the time when old Barotse land's finances were sound and her safes well stocked. The royal palace is a centre of traditional power in Bulotsi, and delegations from far and wide come to seek advice from their king. King Ilute Yeta IV has been on the throne since 1977 and is the 19th in line according to royal Bulotsi lineage. Like his predecessors, King Yeta presides over all the land in the country. As his people's spiritual leader, he's greatly respected. The plains of Bulotsi reach along the Zambezi River in Zambia's western province. During the rains, the land is flooded and uninhabitable. When the drier season returns, people move back into the plains to the fertile earth. Out in the marshlands of the river lies the royal residence, Lealui. For centuries, various peoples have come across the plains, sailed along the river, and settled in the area. Gradually, the Lotse became the dominant people, other tribes assimilating with them. Since the 1870s, the Lotse kings have had their permanent residence at Lealui.
From time immemorial, there was what is called the Barotse government. It was a fully fledged government, making laws, making bylaws, declaring war, and war declared against them, to the exclusion of everybody else. And as a result, they had wielded tremendous amount of political power.
Lewanika was king of the Lotse at the close of the 19th century. When his power was threatened by war with neighbouring peoples, he turned to the British to seek an alliance. A protection agreement was entered into, but in return, King Lewanika was forced to relinquish all rights to Bolotse's mineral resources to the British South Africa Company under Cecil Rhodes. King Lewanika visited London and was influenced by European ideas, development and change. Missionaries were granted permission to settle in his country and spread their Christian message. They built schools, hospitals, and churches. The newly opened mines needed labour. Colonialists and businessmen came across the plains. Money began to pour into the state coffers.
We had our own treasury. We worked our own estimates. We put up our own buildings. We bought what equipment we needed most. We had schools. We supported missionaries who wanted to set up hospitals. We opened roads.
King Lewanika's successors to the throne went on over the years maintaining good relations with Britain. When Zambia extricated itself from British sovereignty in 1964 to become an independent nation, the president, Kenneth Kaunda, drew up an agreement with King Mwanawina. It was agreed that Bulotse would continue to enjoy considerable political and economic autonomy, and that's when the trouble started.
It's when the Barotseland Agreement 1964 was signed. They said, all right, we agree to becoming part and parcel of independent Zambia, provided our rights are reserved. Which rights they enumerated them. You see, unfortunately, the Zambian government, once in power, did not fancy anybody else near them with almost equivalent powers, you see. So what they did was to turn round and change the laws in such a way that they abolished the agreement.
Large sums from the Bulotsi treasury were transferred to the new Zambian administration. In Lealui, the safes were soon barren. The royal establishment lost much of its power and influence. Antagonism increased between the centre of traditional power in Lealui and the hub of political power in the capital, Lusaka.
This function we have today is called the Kuomboka fundraising bribe. Yes. The purpose is to raise funds towards the preparations of the Kuomboka ceremony.
During the rain season, the Zambezi River, the Zambezi Plain, gets flooded. So it becomes inhabitable. So people have to move to the drier land. So the Royal Highness, together with the people living in the plains, move to the drier land. This is a ceremony called the Kuomboka. In most lodges, I would tell you, they have two homes. One here, one in Barosland. This is how we live. Most of our parents live there, most of our relatives live there. It's a unitary state. We are part of Zambia, but you still find that most people prefer to live there because of the culture and the environment.
Since time immemorial, people have had to make the annual journey across the Bulotsi Plains. Today, the journey constitutes a link between the new society and the traditional one. Each year, when it's time to move away from the rising waters, Kuomboka, Lotsi from the whole of Zambia, travel home for the festivities. In Lealui, work has been going on for a couple of months now, building King Yeta's new barge, the Nalikwanda.
To make Kuomboka colorful, we need more than 7 badges. At present, all our badges, they're all destroyed, and we need a new set. It is interesting to find that the inflation in our country is running at a very, very, very fast rate. When we built that one, it was only 28,000, but the one we are building now, of the same size, cost us more than 14 million. 14 million.
The bard sings of the approaching rains and the journey, which will soon be undertaken by the king and his people of the plains.
I try to do my weather observation over there. One day when we had 58.6 millimeters of rain, it was a frightening downpour. I can tell you, Professor, the water is now becoming threatening. Now. It has to threaten to a certain level to really give us a fright. Without a fright, we just say, oh, friendly Komboka, friendly Munda, friendly water. So what I'm trying to say is that Komboka really is not a ceremony, a very pure ceremony as such. It is just an effort to get out of the flooding plain.
Kuomboka has now become an important issue, even for the authorities in Lusaka.
For Zambia, it has become a tourist attraction. It's one of the selling points for Zambian tourism, and we always look forward to receiving visitors to come and participate in this ceremony.
In Lealui, it's been decided that it's high time the king took refuge from the rising waters. And the royal master of ceremonies goes to the king with the drumsticks so that he can inform his people that this year's Kuomboka is imminent. Royal drums sound across the land, declaring that the Great Migration is only a day or two away. It's to the firmer ground at Limulunga that the king and his court will be moving. The Royal Winter Palace has stood empty for several months. A lot has to be put in order before the king's return. Guests begin to arrive at Lealui. Wherever they may be, Kuomboka is of great importance to the Lotse.
Anyway, Komboka is sort of become a ceremony, and a lot of people like to associate themselves with the Komboka. In fact, I would dare to say any Mulozi who has never paddled in the Nalikwanda, doesn't matter whether he's a lawyer or a doctor, is looked upon, is looked down upon. He must, at one time or another, spend a little bit time peddling the land.
In Lealui, the day before Kuomboka is the most hectic day of the year. The new Nalekwanda and the other royal barges have to be made shipshape. About 200 paddles have to be tested and decorated. There must be food and drink for each crew member, and each of the awaited celebration guests. Not until late in the evening is the new Nalekwanda ready for the following day's journey. In the cold morning air, the drums have to be tuned before being rolled on board. Then Kuomboka can begin.
Padras. But this is a smaller than number one.
So this is the new one. This is which is new one. That is the old one, which is.
Yeah, see, it's a 14.
Madame Vera Shiluba, wife of the President of Zambia and guest of honor for the occasion, arrives with her entourage.
You look like my son. Okay, I'm here.
Yes. Everyone needs to see the way I look. It's lovely. It's beautiful. The goal. I'm a guest of honor. I think they're just happy to see me, that's all. And I think they're happy that I'll be with them throughout and out until the ceremony is finished. And I'm also happy that I'm among them as the First Lady and with our minister. These are all ministers, so we are all happy to be here. Thank you.
Prime Minister Mututwa greets the guests from the capital in the Parliament building of Bulotsi. As the barge crew waits to begin their royal transportation.
Bone kuli mandu akulena mandu amanduna kafela aba baleko Fere lwafunduka kusyalisa sichaba kaufera kakozo ngambe na wakunona ulumele sinde kusyalisa changwe moyo wako.
King Ilute Yeta and his male guest of honour, the Zambian Minister of Defence, are ferried together in the royal vessel, while Madame Chiluba travels in the Nautila, the Queen's boat.
We have a tradition to maintain, and this tradition has its own social values, which, in my humble opinion, would be very, very unfortunate to dispose of them, because they form a very strong public opinion at the grassroots level, where the government does not reach, where political parties do not reach. Tradition is there, and we are there with the people.
By sending high-ranking officials to the Kuomboka, the central government underlines that the ceremony has, over the years, become politically more important. How does the king see his own political role?
I'm not interested in competing for political problems. After all, I've had my chance. I'm no longer a young man. But during my day, I held every post in government. And I worked through the ranks. So I've done my part. And quite honestly, at my age, I don't like to have to go through those again.
When the royal drums sound across the land, they carry a message of respect for all traditions. But the Kuomboka has come more and more to serve as a link with the outside world.
It is something we have come to value very much, because it brings us together, it brings us in contact with the outside world. It makes it possible for officials, higher officials in government, to come along here and to enable us to intimately tell them about problems that we face. I would like to have a better canal. I would like to have a road to Calabar. I would like to see airplanes landing in Mungu for better transport. I would like to see better buses. I would like to see malnutrition eradicated, malaria reduced.
journey is over 15 kilometers and necessitates a whole day's travel. The music reflects the rhythm of the journey and its various stages. On dry land at the harbour in Limulunga, a couple of thousand people are already waiting for the king and his entourage to arrive. The great number of people greeting King Iluteyeta raises the question, does it worry the king's guests from the capital that his popularity is so great?
No, not what I'll say, nothing that. That fear does exist all the time. I've always said it was a groundless fear. No, nobody believes it. I think it is things like receptions you saw last night, which makes them shake to the very, very core of their bones. They fear that we may take it away. And I'm saying, no, we are giving it to you. Not saying, no, you want to take it away. We are saying, no, we want to give you everything. It's an argument I think that will go on for ages.
The king's reception in Limulunga goes on for 2 days. He might seem to be isolated from his people, sat on his throne and bound by tradition. How does he see his own role? Does he know what's going on at grassroots level?
We are the people at the grassroots level, you see. So talk to us. We will tell you what we need most. For instance, I'm telling you that if, for instance, we could really have a good control of mosquitoes and eradicate malaria that way, we have done us more service that way than even building a few more schools. Because what are the use of the schools for children who will never reach school age because they should have died of malaria? Anyway, this is our argument. This is our way of looking at it. But somebody sitting in Lusaka says, no, I'll tell you what you need. You need a school. You need an additional school. And we are saying, yes, we do. But will it, unless this is done properly, unless malaria is treated and juvenile delinquency is controlled, poaching is controlled, who will go to those schools?
To me, it's a development, this participation of all of us.
When the river subsides, the king and his court return to Learui. The Bulotsi Prime Minister Mututwa and his government, back once again in their humble parliament building, discuss the country's economic problems. The empty safes are still the open wounds they were, reminding all of the unsolved conflict between traditional rule in Learui and the central political power in the capital, Lusaka.
Lwambolisane ufita mifilifili. Alolati sesezi wa madina akaofera. Luna lumela mwa kozo. Kozo fela.